to go ahead and get going. I think most of you know me. I'm Petra Silton. I'm the Senior Director of Programs for Thrive, the Alliance of Nonprofits for San Mateo County. And you are in the Children and Education Thrive Action Group. We're going to be talking about childcare and out-of-school grant program updates and some general updates as well. So before I hand it over to Peggy Jensen and her team from the county, I want to go ahead and tell you a little bit about some upcoming things that are happening at Thrive. And specifically, I'd like to start with our next Children and Education Thrive Action Group. So Thrive is, oh, it's perfect. This is just our general, this is who Thrive is. If any of you don't know who Thrive is, we are the Alliance of Nonprofits. We're a membership-based organization, and this is one of many issue areas that we focus on. So please sign up for our mailing lists and become members. The next Thrive Children and Education meeting is actually going to be a big community forum, a summit of educational leaders on partnerships in education. This is something that we have talked about for quite a while, and it's finally coming to fruition. We are partnering with the San Mateo County Office of Education. One of the things that has come up so many times in our tags has been the communication between school districts and the out-of-school time providers of all kinds. And what we decided was what we really need is to get everyone in a room and do some real relationship building and problem solving. And that's what we're going to be doing. So it's going to be from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock on Thursday, September 22nd. And there will be representatives from many different school districts, as well as hopefully many of our CBO partners that are in the room now. So really encourage you to sign up for that. We have right now just a tentative agenda, but as more information comes in, we will keep adding to that. Next slide. Some other things that are going on. We're working on voter outreach as always. The election is coming up. We did not have great voter turnout in our primary election. That was true across the state. We did better than most counties, but we really want to make sure that especially the most underrepresented of us have the opportunity to vote, and we try to make it as easy as possible. We're doing a great toolkit. So if any of you are interested in getting a toolkit that you can use to spread the word to your communities, we have it all in a nice package. You don't have to do any thinking at all. You can just share it with your community as is. So reach out to me if you're interested in that. Right now, there's a big opportunity with housing elements in each city. And I think everyone in this room knows that housing is a huge issue for the people that you serve on the peninsula. And so we're going to be talking about housing elements, explaining them, explaining how you can get involved and why this is important. So please join us. And this one also will be in person. Everything that we're doing in person, there will be a Zoom option, but we're trying to get to a point where we can be together more so we can go back to building relationships the way we used to. Nonprofits, and I say this every time, staff is burnt out. We've taken a huge burden during especially these last 3 years. So Kirsten has put together this terrific Wellness Wednesdays, and anybody from your staff, including yourselves, are welcome to join. And our big new exciting announcement is we are going to be doing a climate summit for San Mateo County, partnering with climate resilient communities, Nuestra Casa and Ride South City. It's going to be in person all day at Stanford. And for everybody who's interested or affected by climate, this is going to be a large event, and we're really looking forward to hosting this. And I think we've all heard that San Mateo County is getting a new co-ed, Community Organizations Active in Disaster. We now have a new name for it, Thrive Rise, Resilience and Shared Emergencies. So stay tuned for more information about that. And with that, we will get back to our regularly scheduled program. If you have any questions, my colleague Kirsten is here and she can answer anything. You can always go to our website as well to see registration for all of those. So with that, very appreciative that the county reached out to us. And we've been talking with Peggy Jensen, the Assistant County Executive, for a long time about making sure that the information about these grants gets out to the community. So thank you, community, for showing up, and thank you to Peggy and her team for coming to speak about the grant. So with that, I will turn it over to Peggy.
Thank you very much, Petra. And we appreciate the opportunity to be here with all of you today. So good morning to everyone. I am joined this morning by Donna Valancourt and by Saba Bakari. They have been the leaders, respectively, of the out-of-school care grant program and also the childcare grant program. So with that, I'll turn it over to Donna to talk about out-of-school care, and then Saba will follow up with information on the childcare grant program.
Great, thank you. Kirsten, do you want to put up the presentation? Awesome. And we'll go to the next slide. Wonderful. So many of you hopefully have heard that the County Board of Supervisors on July 26th approved $2.5 million for out-of-school care grant program. And again, the program is to increase access for before and after school care, specifically for SED students. Next slide. So as with any ARPA fund, so the county is using ARPA recovery funds for this program. So there has to be a nexus when you use ARPA funds to the pandemic. So in this case, it's specifically to address the educational disparities that were amplified by the pandemic, to enhance the academic, social, emotional development, and also to support the economic recovery, specifically for parents. It's a really interesting, we were just learning yesterday, we were doing an evaluation of our summer enrichment program, which I think I saw some of the names you may be involved in. And our consultants had sent out parent surveys. We've received close to 300 back. And one of the questions that's asked, there was a 20% response, percent of parents responding to the question that the summer enrichment programs allowed them to pursue new educational and new employment opportunities. So we definitely see a nexus between programs for youth like this and our economic recovery, as I'm sure all of you do as well. Next slide. So the grantees will be awarded funding based on the size of their program, so in the number of youth that they serve. Program sites that are serving less than 100 youth will be $50,000. Program sites serving 100 or more will be $75,000. And organizations that may have multiple sites can submit a separate application for each program site. You may be wondering where we came up with these amounts. We actually looked at the summer enrichment program grants and the average ask, looking at the size of the program, et cetera. And they were about 20 to 25,000 was the average ask. Again, these are year-round programs, different than summer programs. The other reason we chose these specific amounts was so there can be more objectivity in evaluating the submission. So everybody is submitting in accordance to what 50,000 will do or what 75,000 will do in terms of increasing programming, reducing teacher to student ratio or staff to student ratio, increasing number of scholarships, etc. Next slide. So eligibility criteria, again, located in San Mateo County, must serve and it can be any of these. It can be elementary, middle school, high school. They need to be operational for the 2023 school year and 5 days a week. They also need to have at least 3 hours of programming a day, serving the same cohort, so not different children every day. They need to offer academic support such as homework help, along with the social and emotional learning, and that they serve at least 50% of SED students. Again, those are defined as household income less than 80% of the area median income. Next slide. As with the summer enrichment grants, the funds will be distributed by geographic region. So we break up the county into 4 regions: South, Central, North, and Coastside. And the money will be distributed based on the grant funding, based on the percent of SED students in each of those geographic regions. Priority again will be given to programs that are serving 75% or more SED students, as well as those that are expanding access and that are offering comprehensive programming. Next slide. So the application launched this morning at 8 o'clock. You can go to www.smcstrong.org, apply for funding. It's the first one listed. We will be accepting applications through Tuesday, August 22nd at 5 p.m. We've set up a specific email address for anybody who has any questions to us, which we'll be monitoring every day. It's outofschoolgrant@smcgov.org. And again, we'll be monitoring that and responding to your questions as quickly as possible. Next slide. Just want to thank our partners in this effort. So we have leaned very heavily on the San Mateo County Office of Education, as well as the Silicon Valley Community Foundation in helping us establish criteria, eligibility, and we'll be helping with evaluating the proposals or the applications that are submitted. We also want to thank Thrive, of course, for always being our partner and helping us get the word out there. And so with that, any questions from any of you on the program? And I'm not able to see any of the questions. Okay, great. So if there's raised hands.
You need to have the embed link for the Instagram.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Sure.
Hi, my name is Paige. Where are you? I can't find I was curious, we applied for summer funding and we did not win summer funding and we never got any feedback. Is there any feedback mechanism to know how the decisions were made and what we need to think about in this application?
Sure, and there is a program overview that's listed on SMC Strong that gives you more of the detail about how the applications will be prioritized and what we are looking for. So invite you to do that. Also invite you to send an email. I'm sorry that you didn't receive, if you asked and didn't receive feedback on the summer enrichment. We have a separate email for that, but you are welcome to send us an email and I can review your application and see how it's scored.
And where would I send an email to, please?
That would be, there's so many different email boxes we have, summerenrichment@smcgov.org.
And did you have to turn a lot of people away?
We did.
Okay.
I mean, you know, we were able to fund less than half of the program submissions. And again, a lot of it had to do with geographic area. So for instance, in the South region, we received probably the 2/3 we were not able to fund, right? Because we received so many applicants from the Southern region of the county.
Thank you.
Karen?
Yeah, I have a question about the percentages of low income or children we're serving. We would not make that percentage, though we do everything else you asked for, the hours, but we certainly don't have 50 to 75%. Is that a reason not to apply? When I was reading through yesterday, it sounded more like a priority, and when you just had the slide, it sounded like it was a requirement. So I just want to understand.
Yeah, so it, and I'm going to pull from our, the eligibility, the priority will be given to those that, and I apologize if that was not clear, the priority will be given to those that are serving the higher percentage of SED students.
So even though we can still, it's worth our time to apply, depending on how many applications you get. And then I'm understanding that you're going to give a set amount by the number of children served. You're not going to look at all the applicants. Let's say we ask for 100,000, but you give us 25. That's not the way you're doing this. You're just doing
yeah. So we're actually asking you. We're asking you in the application what you will be doing, right, with that grant funding. So you'll be saying, I'm going to, again, reduce staff ratios. I'm going to be increasing hours. I'm going to be, you know, adding more scholarships, right?
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Eleanor. Eleanor, I think you're on mute.
I'm muted, yes. Donna, thank you very much for the
Mhm.
presentation. Great. I wonder, do you have a phone number? Is there a way to contact you?
Sure. You can call me. I'll put my cell in the chat.
Very good, thank you.
Sure.
Very good presentation. I really
Okay.
appreciate it.
Sure. Okay, it's in the chat. Lisa.
Thanks so much for the presentation and the opportunity to ask questions. I'm with the Jewish Coalition for Literacy, serving San Mateo County, among other places. And I'm just curious about your openness to, and maybe other people on the call as well, their openness to partnering. We recruit, train, and support volunteer tutors to provide literacy support, and we place them with schools, after-school programs, and nonprofits. So in order to reach those 100 children or just under 100 children, we need a setting. So is a partnership something that you encourage?
Absolutely. And we did have partnerships in the summer enrichment program grants. There were those that partnered with, it could be a school-based site and a nonprofit, right? But you would submit jointly. For the application.
Okay, wonderful. So yes, I'm open to hearing from others. If you would love to have tutors at your site, we'd be very happy to partner with you. And perhaps, Petra, the list of participants will be shared and we can keep networking. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Jessica. Jill?
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity and being so clear. I'm not sure that I understand the criteria to apply. And then it sounds like you said some things like increase your capacity, lower your ratio, improve socioeconomics or social emotional support. Are those prioritized at all, or are those based on just what we think our most pressing needs are?
They're based on what you think your most pressing needs are. Right. So we're not saying if you scholarships is going to take priority over student staff ratio. We're not saying that. We're asking you to tell us what is most important for your program.
Thank you.
Jessica?
Hi, good morning. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm a parent, but I'm also, I with the Innovate program, and I participate in a lot of other, advocate for a lot of others. I know there are some nonprofits in East Palo Alto that are struggling a lot with funds, not only for, they're struggling with getting tutors, I'm sorry, getting tutors, and also a location, funding for the location to have the students go. And so the amount that I saw earlier, it just seems extremely low to me. A lot of, I just wanted to express that. Thank you very much.
Okay, before moving on to Saba on the childcare grants, are there any more questions about the out-of-school grants?
Oh, I apologize. I just wanted to express the mental health is really a dire need, and has been expressed by a lot of parents for not only for education for the students, but also for the parents in order to support those children that are suffering. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Just so that you're all aware that the funding can be used for mental health support. It can be used for stipends, for teachers, for incentives. It can be used for operational expenses, as long as it doesn't supplant existing budgets. So it can be used again. We understand that there is a need for mental health support, and this grant can be used to for that purpose. Okay. Great. Okay, Saba, I think I'm going to be turning it over to you. Thanks.
Wonderful. I'll wait for the PowerPoint to be pulled back up. Perfect. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. So in addition to the out-of-school care grant program, the County Board of Supervisors also approved $4 million in funding to be designated for the childcare grants. The purpose of this program is to provide financial support to the childcare sector so that businesses may stay open and childcare slots remain available. As with other industries, the childcare sector was really impacted by the pandemic, and the aim is that this grant will go towards rebuilding and maintaining the economic vitality of that arena, especially for families in our most underserved communities who really depend on reliable childcare so they may work. Next slide, please. So the grant amounts will be based on the number of children served by the center, starting with 10,000 for the smaller centers and up to 55,000 for large facilities. A note that multi-site agencies may submit a separate application for each of their sites. Next slide. So this upcoming childcare grant program will implement eligibility criteria and prioritization similar to previous programs. Childcare centers or homes must, of course, be located in San Mateo County and be appropriately licensed or license exempt. Additionally, they must serve non-school age children between the ages of 0 to 5 years old. They must submit a W-9 form, which is not a tax return, but a form that can be easily completed by the applicant. And lastly, they must attest that their center has been through a negative fiscal impact due to COVID-19. And nonprofit organizations are eligible to apply. Next slide, please. So when selecting applicants, priority will be equity focused. So the most consideration will be given to centers who primarily serve low-income families, children with special needs, English language learners, those from foster care, and centers that offer subsidies and vouchers. Priority will also be given to those who participate in other county programs that focus on socioeconomically disadvantaged families, such as the Big Lift and Quality Counts, and those who have not received a grant yet from a county child care support program within the past 12 months. Distribution of grants will also rely on the percentage of SED families located in various regions of the county. Next slide, please. So the application must be submitted online and it'll be open from August 26th through September 9th. Details and resources such as the FAQ will be posted on the SMC Strong website by the time the application goes live. And all questions and inquiries may be directed to the email childcaregrant@smcgov.org. Next slide. We'd like to thank our partners, Community Childcare Council, Childcare Partnership Council, Community Childcare Council, San Mateo County First Five, all of whom we consulted on their experience and expertise when drafting the grant program criteria and application. And of course, thanks to Thrive Alliance for spreading the word and promoting the program among your network. Next slide, any questions?
I actually have a question, if that's okay.
Of course.
I can't see myself on the screen, but it's Karen again from Footsteps. When you talk about the number of children served, we're licensed for X amount of children, but we're serving less because of the pandemic. So are you, for the money amount, is it what we're currently serving or what we're licensed to serve?
It is based on the number you're currently serving.
Currently serving, okay,
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. And I have one more question. When it's a grant from the county within the last 12 months, can you talk about what that might be? Because we've received money from like the 4Cs, the Child Care Coordinating Council, because we have alternative payment. We receive money here or there, and I'm not sure if it's considered county money or not.
So I believe there's just one program really that falls into this category within the past 12 months, and that was earlier this year. It was $870,000 total that we had in grant funding, and I think we awarded the grant to about 97 centers. And we will post that specifically by name in our application, but that's the only program I think that if you received a grant for that you would not be eligible. Everything else would be okay.
Perfect, thank you.
Mhm.
So Saba, if I may, I just add that the
Sure.
grants that we're looking at were funded, well, were run by the 4Cs. Christina Padilla was the contact, and they were for family daycare centers.
Mhm.
$10,000 grants for family daycare centers.
Okay, so that's what you're talking about. You're not talking about the money that came a while ago. I think it's been more than a year.
Yep.
With the pandemic, I don't know, everything seems,
Yeah,
time
we
is
know-
out, a question, but yeah, okay, so if we're not a family childcare provider, then we can apply because we would have not received.
We would assume so, yeah. We'll check back with the 4Cs, but that was our understanding. These were $10,000 grants to family daycare centers that applied to the 4Cs. And I think that application period opened late in 2021.
Jessica.
I apologize. I'm going back to the first announcement. Is the funding, does it support tutoring or is it just for mental health? I apologize if I missed that part.
It can be used, the funding can be used to support both mental health, counseling, staff, homework support, any of those areas.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Any more questions?
Last chance. Paige, you look like you're talking.
Sorry, I have one question for Donna. Donna, I tried that email address that you said and it bounced back, the summer enrichment email. So I'll put here the email that bounced back. You can tell me what I did wrong. I put it in chat.
Hold on, let me just, sorry, my apologies. We have like now 6 separate emails for all the different grant programs, and I may have gotten that one incorrect. So hang on just one second. Okay, I'll write it in, I'll put it in the chat.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Eleanor, did you have a question?
Yeah, I want to say just thank you, Saba. That was a very, very good report. I appreciated it. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks.
And it looks like we have one more question from Padma.
Hi, my question is that we generally don't operate all 5 days of the week. We operate 4 days. Is that something, again, to go back to one of the other questions, is this a priority or is it a requirement to apply for this? We operate 4 days a week. And so because we have a specific purpose, which is to tutor students, and they don't get homework and other assignments on Fridays.
Right. So unfortunately, that it does require 5 days a week and 3 hours of programming a day. That is a requirement, eligibility requirement.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Quick question. The funding, usually when the kids have the after school program, they're especially in the area of East Palo Alto, most of them, arrive hungry. Well, is there any way to have that funding towards food and
Yes, another allowable use is for food. Again, if you're expanding the programming hours, you may then cover breakfast. It also allows you to, and it's in the chat as well, some of the uses of the funding. You can also use it for transportation of the students. So there's a pretty broad allowable use of the grant funding.
Thank you.
I do have another question, Donna. We have a free clinic, eKids and PSILC, which runs the free clinic in San Mateo. And we do give flu shots. This is a little bit outside of, what we're talking about right here. But it's very important for me to be able to talk about eKids, which is a health program in the schools that actually does not need a teacher, does not need anything. It's all online, right? But we also give flu shots to children and parents free of charge. So transportation often from the schools to the clinic is something that we grapple with. And when you just said transportation, of course, you piqued my interest. So is that something that you would be interested in? Of course, I'm interested in eKids and getting that into the after-school programs as well as the schools, right? But I cannot deny the fact that we have this free service and transportation is needed. So can you answer that question?
So I think that's more for the other programs maybe to answer whether or not they would be interested in partnering, with you for those kinds of services.
Yes, but the transportation, you're talking about transportation. Is that something you would fund, the transportation from the schools to?
Well, it has to be associated with increased access.
I see.
Or increased hours of programming. So all of those things, transportation, meals, et cetera, has to be connected to increased access, right? And or increased programming or lower student to staff ratios. Yeah.
I got it. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, Donna.
Sure.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much to Peggy and Donna and Saba for the presentations, and above all for your partnership. It's really appreciated that you come and take the opportunity and take the time to talk directly to the organizations. And I think you answered some really important questions today, especially that will be useful. And we will send out the slides and all of the contact information in a follow-up email, so you don't have to write everything down. And with that, we will continue to everybody stay on. We still have more things to do, but thank you to Peggy and Donna and Saba, and we will see you in an application probably.
Yes, and feel free to, again, to email or call if anything comes up, you have any more questions. We're happy to support you however we can.
Thank you all for the invitation.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
So for the rest of the time, I would like to have a casual conversation. Please feel free to step out if you were really here specifically just for the grants. But already it seems like there were a couple of connections that were being made. So I want to have a couple of minutes to talk about those connections. If there's anything that that didn't get accomplished in chat, have some free conversation around that. And then I would also like to hear a little bit more about your ideas about our next summit, if there's anything that you would like to make sure that we include in the conversation. So first, let's make sure that we got all the connections. Are there any more connections or any questions anybody has about some of the side conversations that were happening in chat? I think, Eleanor, you might want to put your contact information in the chat. So if people are interested in the flu shots or the eKids, that they can reach out to you directly.
Right. Are there, Petra, any after-school programs that are any of the school people who are doing after-school programs on the call today?
Yes, lots of them.
Lots of everyone is here. Okay, so they're all these are people that are teaching in the schools or have
after school.
Yeah, after school, right? Teaching after school programs. Okay, good enough. And you'll send out a contact list, right?
We can send your information out, but we won't send out a contact list unless everyone's okay with that.
Okay, very good. If you will send ours out, that would be great. That would be great. Thank you.
And the tutoring, did all of those connections get made, Lisa?
Yes, many were made. And yeah, I just wanted to clarify, we are both recruiting, training, and supporting and placing tutors in school and after school sites. So we can help on the supply side, and we're also looking for places to put those tutors. So
Is there a charge to the centers to have you come and provide the tutors, or is that a free service for the centers?
There is no charge. I mean, I would say I'm also interested in, if there's somebody on the call or others who were on the, did drop off, I would love to be part of a grant so that because our services are offered free of charge. And as all of you experience as well, we have core costs that we need to cover. So we would not qualify on our own.
So I have a question
site with 100.
So we're licensed before and after school programs and preschool programs, and we would love, we're in Belmont and Redwood Shores, we would love to have tutors. We do homework assistance, but we don't do one-on-one and tutoring. But we are licensed, so anybody who's on our campus have to follow, they have to be fingerprinted, and then we require vaccinations and blah, blah, blah. Do you vet all your people that way? And then,
Yes.
or is it our responsibility? So they're all great with community care licensing?
Yeah, we take care of all of that. We recruit, we train, we onboard, which includes TB, live scan references, things like that. So and then we create agreements with sites where we're placing tutors. So just to, we do X, you do Y, it's pretty simple.
And then my last question is, our biggest issue is space. We have 20, 25 kids in a room doing homework assistance with staff there. If we don't have a lot of space to have a one-on-one tutor unless it's outdoors, which, yay, we would do that as much as possible, but if it's raining, can your tutors be in an environment where other kids are doing homework or not being tutored, or do you really require that they need like a little room or a place for them to be alone?
Our folks are flexible.
Okay.
Pre-COVID, they were in the back of a classroom, in the hallway, in the library, in the courtyard. Some of them would love to be outside, actually, because they have COVID concerns. So flexibility is definitely the name of the game. We also like to work with partners as far as the tutor pipeline. So Belmont and Redwood Shores, we'd probably have to recruit people around that area.
Right.
But we could definitely do that. So
I'll email you separately, but we'd be very interested in partnering with you.
All right, thank you so much. And
for very large programs, some serve 100, others serve 150 after school. So it's pretty big. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other connections or questions? Okay, so I want to talk a little bit more about the summit. So we have great partnerships from the Office of Education who are going to bring school districts into the room. And our idea was to talk about some case studies of some successful partnerships, and then really focus a lot on the relationship building between the school districts and the CBOs, because that seems to be something that we haven't had the opportunity to do, and we certainly haven't had the opportunity to do in person for 3 years, and a lot has changed on the landscape on both sides. So the idea of doing it 10 to 2 was that we'd have an opportunity to have lunch, so that'd be informal networking, but we'll also pull people together in different groups by geography, by demographics, for small group conversations as well. Just in an ideal world, what would you like to see out of that time? And first of all, does this sound like, would you come?
Would you give us a list in advance of who's coming from school districts? Because for me, I have a relationship with Belmont Redwood Shores that I've had for years. Sometimes it's good and sometimes it's not. It just depends on what's the topic. But if they're not going to show up at all, will there be something else that I can glean from other school districts or other after school programs or preschool programs at the event? Because if it's a chance to meet with the school district representatives with other people too, that would be very good. But if I'm going to be sitting at a table by myself because my school district hasn't shown up, which has happened to me before, it wouldn't be as beneficial.
Okay.
Or unless it was topics that are interesting to everybody.
Well, there'll definitely be topics that are interesting to everybody, because we're going to be doing a lot of kind of big picture. How do you develop the relationships? What are some successful models? So there will be conversations will be useful for everyone. And getting to know your fellow CBOs, as well as the County Office of Education. The County Office of Education is like all in on this. So they're going to be there as well. So hopefully that's useful. One of the things that the district that the Office of Ed asked for was if we could get some organizations to kind of sign on and say, yes, they'll definitely be there, because that would be something that would also encourage more school districts. So if any of you would be okay with me saying, yes, you guys will be there, and I can just in a list, I would really appreciate that, because I think, again, it's the momentum. Just like Karen doesn't want to come if they don't come. Well, they don't want to come if Karen's not coming. So
I mean, I would come if it's worth my while. I'm not saying that because I understand that every school district is very busy and they may not be able to come. But if it's where we're just breaking into tables groups with our school district and the school district doesn't show up, it could be awkward. One thing I think would be very beneficial is the school districts that have really good relationships with their before and after school providers, to have both the before and after school provider and the person from the school district talk in front of the other school districts, so that they can kind of feel like, oh, why are we not doing that? I've worked really hard over the years to have a really great relationship with Belmont River Shores, and it was all great until the ELOP program happened last year. And they really took all of our on-school providers and said, if you don't do this, we're not going to give you a lease. And we've been there for 27 years. And then they changed it completely by the next 2 months later, then we didn't have to do it. But it really scared us all quite a bit. So yet I feel like I have a really good relationship with them in most things. So it's hard. It's very difficult. It depends on what the state is bringing down to the school districts at that time.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why we thought it was really important to do this, is because of all that ELOP money. Like, that's a lot of money, and the stronger the relationships are between the CBOs and the districts, the more likely that, because it goes to the districts, right? The more likely they are to funnel it to the CBOs. If they have that confidence, like a lot of times we hear that they're not as confident as we would like them to be in the CBOs, even though we know you guys are doing an amazing job, they need to develop that relationship. So yeah, keep letting me know, keep putting it in chat if I can use your name, just saying that you guys will be there. I'd really appreciate that. Jessica, you have a question?
Yes, hi. I have a question and a comment. Karen, I was wondering if you could provide in chat your program information, the name and the contact information. Regarding the ELOP funds, you know, a lot of parents were not, I know it sounded like there was a lot of funds, but the district that Karen's talking about mentioned that it wasn't enough money to actually provide access to all this, to assist all the students that needed the extra, that were actually eligible for ELOP, or you know, that needed those ELOP funds. And the other problem is the ELOP funds are only from, I believe, pre-K only to 6th grade. So that's a huge problem, because all the other students above 6th grade do not have access to this desperate resource of the ELOP funds. They are just hurting desperately. Not only education falling behind, especially for minority students, they're already behind before the pandemic. This is just adding more to what they're already suffering from. And then, so that was just something that I wanted to mention, that it's not enough money. The ELOP funds, it sounded like a lot of money, but at the end of the day, the district said it was not enough money. There was a lot of parents that were rejected. I was one of them. my son was going into 6th grade. No, he was going into 7th grade, so he therefore was no longer eligible. We have been an Innovate. We've been fighting for them to extend it past 6th grade, and so far we've had no success. And I'm hoping that you all in this group can advocate and put the word out that it needs to be extended past 6th grade. I'm not sure if a lot of people know this, but those are some things that I would like to mention. I apologize. Thank you.
Okay, Jessica, can we, and I see Jose is here as well. Can we say that Innovate Public Schools will be at the event on September 22nd? Because that would be a time that you could advocate, because you'll have the County Office of Education directly there.
I can try to put it on my calendar if I'm available. I'm not sure. Jose, are you here?
Hey, good morning, everyone. Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me? I'm not sure.
Yeah, we can hear you. Sorry to put you on the spot. You can like email me later. I'm not trying to like corner you, but I do think that this is exactly what we're trying to do, is create, first of all, create critical mass of the number of organizations that are coming. Really,
I'll be there, Petra. Yeah, okay. You say September 22?
Yeah, it's up on our website, so you can get more information. But mostly, I want to make sure that as the County Office of Ed is going to the school districts, and they're trying to be very strategic about who they're asking, so that they're asking to make sure they have the right people in the room, that they can say, hey, we know that at least these many organizations are coming.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, actually, I have it on my calendar already. So,
great.
Yeah, so I'll be there.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks. Eleanor, did you have another question?
Okay, so yes, Petra, I do. Is it possible for all of us to give you a blurb about who we are, what we're doing, and you present that to the Department of Education and or the superintendents, so that they understand who will be on the call and what we're doing there?
Yes. So Eleanor, first of all, it's going to be in person, although we will have a Zoom option. But one of the things that we're going to do, we were thinking while we are there, but maybe we'll do it ahead of time, is exactly that: create this list of all these organizations, what they do, who their contact information is, and make sure that we have a really comprehensive list for the County Office of Ed to have.
Are you going to make it after school programs, or are you opening this up to preschool? Because there's the universal preschool now that involves the public schools, and lots of the preschool programs in the community feel very disconnected with public schools. And I'm on different committees, and I could spread the word for you if you want it to be preschool and school age and high school. There's high school after school programs too, middle school, high school. Or if you just want to concentrate on school age, that's fine. But
I think we were thinking to focus on TK to 12.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
But Kirsten, we should put that on the invitation to make it super clear. Thanks for pointing that out, Karen. And we'll be, as we get the agenda a little more firm, then we will send out more information, but I really appreciate kind of this brainstorming. So when we've created a couple of times some Google Docs with a lot of information about each of the organizations, but I think we'll start a fresh one specifically for this and ask things like geography served, demographic and stuff, to make sure that we have that, because now, again, things are changing, and it kind of feels like this is an opportunity between the funding and the kind of, I'm not saying post-COVID, but more kind of return to business as usual time, that there's an opportunity for a reset. And the fact that the County Office of Education is so excited about this, and they now have a person who's specifically responsible for community outreach. So, Jessica.
I'm sorry, I think Eleanor was before me. I can wait.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know if Eleanor was, I think that was from last time.
Oh, okay, sorry about that. Okay, I just wanted to throw it out there. I did mention to the district. I went to the district and I requested that I understand there's ELOP funds for the year, but is there any way to collaborate with those programs that already have after school programs running and they have a lunch system, I mean, a food system running, they have everything going. Why can't they collaborate with them and pay those programs and then use other funding if they need it? And those are just some things that I've been pushing for, but it seems that some kind of pushback, the districts want to just control the money within their district and not use other programs outside of the district.
And I think that's exactly what we're trying to address here, is kind of building up that trust so that they start working with the programs that already exist, because I think we all in this room probably agree that the CBOs really know their communities really well, and that there's a big advantage to that.
I think as nonprofits, we should start pushing to those that have control where the funds of the funds, and put that as one of the requests from the districts, that they look for outside sources other than just keeping the funds within the district. And because it just makes sense if we have a fully running program out, like for Footsteps, a lot of Footsteps are actually located on the campus of the school. So it just makes sense to just send the kids over, use the ELOP funds, and if the program needs more funds, they can get grants from somewhere else. I'm just a little frustrated. I'm sorry. I just wanted to express that.
That's okay. You're safe here. This is what, I think we all have this level of frustration. So this is what we're trying to do about it. And we hope to see you all on the 22nd. Does anybody have any, if you want to add anything, if you would like your name and you haven't put it in the chat yet on the list of organizations that are going to attend, please reach out to me or reach out to Kirsten, and we will, we're really working hard. We're meeting literally weekly to try to plan this with the account in the Office of Ed, so that it's a useful use of your time and of this opportunity that I think is a relatively unique one. So with that, thank you all so much for coming. I hope this was a good use of your time, and we'll see you on the 22nd, if not sooner. Thanks.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you, Petra. Good as usual, right?
Yeah, thank you so much, Petra. Really appreciate it.
Well done, everyone. Nice to see you all. Thank you.